Hello everyone, this is Son of Winter Dong Yang. Welcome to my Supernatural series. We have come to episode 14, season 5, and we are in the midst of the Hungry Ghost Festival, 中元节. Last week I shared about the story in an office in downtown KL. Today my story will come from Singapore, a haunted Punggol unit. So this story came from a friend of mine. We call him Alvin. This is not his real name. He managed to obtain a flat at HDO Plain near the Canadian Pizza. For those who are not familiar, this is in Punggol region, the northwest region of Singapore. So Alvin and his girlfriend, we call her Qian Rong. This is not her real name also. Balloted for a flat in this area as both parents of theirs were staying nearby. And they finally got a queue number less than 50. They were super excited. So they actually went to two different Feng Shui masters to help them select a suitable unit in the block they were aiming for. So this block had different columns. It also means all orientation, the flat main door facing were different. Ended up each of these masters where they engaged gave 5 to 6 different units, and all did not have any overlapping units. Ended up they got the general feedback from both master, like which orientation should the flat be facing, example like facing north, etc., and also factor in like sunrise light or if there's enough lighting in the room. So they ended up with a unit on the 8th floor. Though the master did not choose any unit on the 8th floor because none of these unit on 8th floor were facing the orientation the master recommended. Partly also because the mother suggested lucky 8. So they chose a 8th floor unit, but the orientation was not the one the master recommended. Anyway, they done up their stuff, like opening the door, sprinkle the whole house with tea leaf, rice, rolling pineapple, the traditional things that people will do when they enter a new home. Do note that both couples are actually Catholic, so they are not familiar with these practices and will not want to do it unless their parents insisted. So they did it because their parents thought it should be done. Anyway, they were fine as long as there's no need to place an altar. Yeah, because they were Catholics. So when they first moved in, they were very happy because it's a new home. So going to IKEA during every weekend is something that they do to doll up their dream home. However, they didn't have enough budget for renovation, so they could only get basic stuff like wardrobe, etc. So they actually got second-hand wardrobe from online because it was cheap and looked good. So they bought it because it was cheap and matches the decoration of their room. So after 2 months, they finally had their housewarming. They placed a buffet along the corridor and also invited neighbors from other side of the same floor. So they have this neighbor who is a sign-on regular with a small kid called Alex. Again, Alex is not the real name, who kept running around the house playing, and the guests also loved playing with him because he was extremely cute. And his presence made the housewarming even livelier than it already was. So when the regular passed Alex the plate of food from the buffet, Alex took the plate but ran to the room. So Qian Rong, who is very curious and puzzled, wonder Why Alex ran to the room? She was afraid that Alex might dirty the new bedroom, so she went into the bedroom and asked, "Hey, how come you are eating here when there was aircon in the living room? It's so hot in the bedroom." Alex replied, "I want to accompany sister to eat." And Qianrong just asked, "Huh? Which sister?" Casually, since there was so many sisters in the house and she didn't thought anything was amiss. So she was shocked when Alex replied, "The one inside the cupboard." Qianrong just say, okay, you slowly eat." Then she walked out and went to Alvin and pulled Alvin to one side and told him about this. Alvin just brushed aside and said that, "Hey, the kid might be just talking nonsense. How can there be ghosts in this world? Let alone the house is so crowded now." But looking at how disturbed Qianrong was, he went into the room and asked Alex how come he didn't eat outside, because there was aircon. To my audience out here, something actually went wrong when I was sharing this. All of a sudden, my phone was blinking. It never happened before. Something is wrong. So, let me continue the story. At this time, Alex didn't reply him. He put his finger to his lips and smiled. Alvin then squat down and asked what was he doing. Alex said softly, "I'm going to play with sister." Alex then became concerned. Not because he worried for the kid, but was quite paranoid when people said that his house got ghosts. And being a very staunch Catholic, he asked, "What sister? Where? What is the color of her clothing?" Suddenly, Alex's eyesight darted from the cupboard and towards the window, and he pointed and cried. Alvin hushed him and asked him not to cry and asked him, "What happened? Where's the sister?" "Sister," Alex replied and said, "The sister jumped out of the window." When prompted further how this sister looked like, the parents of the kid came in and apologized and carried him out of the master room. This left Alvin and Qianrong both in the room, and they looked at each other. They have heard tons of true ghost story, but never encountered one themselves, not to mention in their own house on housewarming day. Alvin then reassured Qianrong that the kid was, talking trash and told her don't worry about it and just go out to entertain the guests. The day ended and it was around 11 p.m. and they wanted to rest early. So they off the TV in the living room and proceed to off the light when Qianrong say, "Can we don't sleep in the master bedroom tonight? I was a bit disturbed by what the kid said." Alvin tried to talk to Qianrong but noted that she was rather quite disturbed. In fact, to be in the same house, and both decided to sleep in the guest room on the two single beds. Qianrong was very paranoid of the surrounding and chose to sleep on the bed against the wall so that she only has to sleep facing the rest of the room with the bed against the wall as a form of security. So some people prefer to sleep with the bed against the wall for a sense of security. And it was furthest away from the door. The position where she was sleeping allowed her to look out the doorway into the toilet. But of course, they slept with aircon, so the door was closed. Hence, they wouldn't be able to see the doorway. Soon after, she dozed off since she had a tired day entertaining the guests and cleaning up after that. In the middle of the night, she was suddenly awoke by the sound of the toilet light being pressed. Tick-tack. So the light was switched on in the toilet. At that moment, she opened her eyes wide and was scared. So she just lie down without moving. After a few seconds, she suddenly sit up with her back against the wall and what she saw, she couldn't handle. So at the bottom of the room door, there was this tiny gap between the door and the floor. If you all know that, right? So if you turn off the light and you look at the gap between the door and the floor, by right, it should be dark because all the lights outside were already switched off. But when she stood up, surprisingly, she saw light coming in from outside of the room, meaning the toilet light were actually switched on and the light was coming through the gap. And within just a split second, this light went off again. So it was on and then off. So she immediately called out to Alvin. And she didn't even dare to go over to nudge him because they were actually sleeping in separate beds and there was a gap between the two beds. Alvin was snoring, and after a few times of calling out to him, he shouted, "Aya, what happened?" Alvin was then woken up from his sleep, asking her what's wrong. Qianrong accounted the whole incident to him, but he assured Qianrong that it's fine, although it was obvious from his fully awake face. He was also scared actually because such thing never happened before. So so Alvin decided to went on to on the light and told Qianrong, "I will go and check out the toilet." So when he opened the door and then went on to on the light of the toilet and opened the toilet door, he looked around and even looked at what is behind the toilet door, just to assure Qianrong that everything is fine. But do take note, Qianrong now, because the room door is open, right? So she has the full view of the toilet because it was open now. So from her position, she can see the toilet. After checking, Alvin then turned around towards the room and said, "There was nothing." And suddenly, when Alvin said there was nothing, his eyes became wide open instantly and pointed to Qianrong and said very loudly, Qianrong screamed and then said even louder, "Huh? What?" Alvin immediately came into the room, and this time round, Alvin's face changed. And he told Qianrong, as he turned back to look at Qianrong, he saw a woman standing behind the bed, just between his view and Qianrong. So there was a woman standing between him and his wife. And this lady that he saw was somewhat transparent with the back facing Alvin. So Qianrong kept on asking Alvin, How? Then what happened then? What shall we do? Alvin don't have an answer. So both of them assure each other that maybe their mind playing tricks on them, or it could be a test, I don't know. They held hands and started praying and reciting verse from the Bible. Remember, they are Catholics. But they kept their eyes wide open and kept looking around. After a while, they felt calm and decided to go back to their own bed and lie down. But then, this time round, the lights was on. So the night went on and it was morning. Alvin and Qianrong both applied urgent leave, set off to the mom's flat and discussed with her about this. Somewhat when they were closing the door and locking it, they felt a sense of relief with their back against the door and walking away from it. It was the first brush they had with supernatural, both fair share for Alvin and Qianrong. After a super lengthy discussion with Alvin's mother, she decided to seek help from a nearby temple where they had a medium there, and they were lucky that it was the night where they had consultation. So Alvin and Qianrong insisted that they will not go, but do not mind their mom seeking help. When the mothers reached there, the medium told the mom even before she could relate the story. She said, "Okay, your kid's room has something, followed back from outside. But they don't believe, so I cannot help them." The mother then asked, "Who was it? And what does it want?" The medium spoke to the Total, the helper beside the medium, who is also known as a translator. And Total insisted the mother to wait at one side. Wait first. The medium then spoke to the total, some staff lah, and then the total handed the mother one talisman that the medium wrote and told the mother to have it ingested by the couple. So they are supposed to ingest it, but they are Catholic, so they might not believe in this. So when the mother went back to her flat, Alvin and Qianrong asked her what was the outcome. The mother related what happened at the temple and told them to ingest the talisman with water after burning it. So at that point, Alvin and Qianrong say, come on, it was so absurd, it wasn't a solution. So how does burning talisman and ingesting it solve the problem? It was beyond their world of logic comprehension. Ultimately, Alvin say, okay, I will try, but Qianrong say, no, I won't take it. To which the mother say, "Aiya, these young people will never believe and see what's happening now." And after Qianrong showed black face, Alvin said they better go home early, and both of them left. It was already 10 p.m. when they left. So when the lift went up, they both stood quiet in the lift. And Qianrong asked, "Do you think it will be okay tonight?" And Alvin assured her and told her to trust the Lord, and the Lord will not allow any harm to happen to them, and she must have faith in the Lord Jesus. To which Qianrong said, "Yes, I know, but I'm still a bit scared." That night, nothing happened except during the next morning, Qianrong told Alvin that she didn't really sleep the whole night because she was scared, and also because Alvin was snoring very loudly, which disturbed her sleep. Alvin then said, I scared you can't sleep, so I play my iPhone whole night until you wake up. So after that day, they went over to bunk in with their mom, who was already crowded in a 3-room flat. But they soon found a place to rent and stay lah. Okay, that's the end of the story. So we do not know how do they solve the problem. They did not really approach their church for help of some sort. But I heard that they actually allowed their Malaysian relative kids who came over to Singapore and who need to study at a nearby school to live there. But there were no news from the kids whether the kids experienced that female ghost. Alright, so that's it for today's story. I hope you enjoyed listening to the haunted HDB flat at Punggol. Hopefully no one will be disturbed by it anymore. So I hope you like my story. Remember to subscribe to my channel and give it a like. Thank you. Have a nice day.